So 4 months ago, one of Yotta Games' employees watched my video on the hyperdrive Emblems event when I had uploaded it. And while watching the video, they immediately realized that players were getting way too many points from the trick, and so it needed to be fixed. However, since they only had one brain cell, they ended up forgetting to report this to the developers after watching the video. But 2 days ago, something happened. This employee got a stroke, and their entire life flashed in front of their eyes. One of the flashbacks that they saw was this video that I had made on the hyperdrive Emblems event. And when they woke up the next day, they saw another Yotta Games employee that had come to visit them in the hospital. And immediately the first thing they tell them is, we need to fix this glitch that I had found out about 4 months ago, but forgot to tell the developers. And almost immediately this other employee informs the developers about this trick, and the developers fix it the same day. So this means the hyperdrive emblems glitch isn't working anymore. However, that's not the only thing that I wanted to talk about in this video. There was another Yotta Games employee who surprisingly had 3 times the amount of brain cells as the first employee. So the first employee had 1 brain cell, but this employee had 3. And this employee ended up watching my video on how to get 100 million oil per day, where I described how you could create farm accounts in other cities and then rob those farm accounts to get an unlimited amount of oil every single day. This employee, however, since they had 3 brain cells, remembered to inform the developers about the trick. And so the developers decided that they were going to fix it in the next round of the Crude crisis event. And so they did. From this round onwards, you'll only be able to rob a maximum of 5 million oil per day from other players. But the story doesn't end there. There was also a third employee. Unlike the first 2 employees, which had 1 and 3 brain cells respectively, this employee was a normal employee, which meant that just like any other Yotta Games employee, they had no brain at all. And this employee was given the task of writing down a description of the changes that were made in this round of Crude crisis. And because of the lack of brain, they ended up writing that the limit on gatherable resources is going to be 5 million per day, instead of writing that the limit on robbable resources is going to be 5 million per day. And this obviously freaked a lot of people out, which made them bombard GM with questions about this change. And GM ended up clarifying that it was actually supposed to be robbable resources. But after getting too many questions, GM goes back to the employee and tells them to change it from gatherable to robbable, and they do just that. So now the description correctly says that the robbable resource limit is 5 million and not the gatherable resource limit. Now you might ask me where I got this information from, what are my sources? And to that I would say, I don't need to get information from other places when I can create it myself. I am the source. Now if you found this video helpful, then you might want to consider donating a few $1,000s to my Patreon. Link is in the description. And I'd obviously also like to thank all of my patrons that are currently supporting me. But before I end the video, there's one more update that I want to talk about. So recently, almost all top players in the game have been using bulkers. And so Yotta was trying to figure out a way to nerf these bulkers and make them weaker, so that players would use other troop types as well. And they somehow managed to come up with a genius 1000 IQ plan, which is quite surprising considering that the number of brain cells that all of their employees have combined are less than the number of fingers that I have on my hands. But anyways, they came up with the idea of changing the name of bulkers from bulkers to brawlers. Now you might be wondering, how does this change nerf bulkers? How does this change make bulkers weak? And the way they did that is by forgetting to change the name of the stats in battle reports. So when you look at battle reports, you'll notice that there are stats like brawler attack, brawler defense, and brawler damage in there. However, there is no brawler health because they forgot to change the name of the health stat, so it's still bulker health instead of brawler health. They also forgot to change the name of the bulker received damage stat. And so now the question is, do you have bulkers in the game? Obviously, the answer to that is no, you don't. So does that mean that you have your bulker health still? And again, the answer to that is no, you don't, because there are no bulkers in the game. And so by doing this, they've successfully nerfed bulkers in the game by forgetting to change the name of the stats, bulker HP and bulker received damage, which basically means that now you have 0% brawler health and 0% brawler received damage, which is pretty much going to make your brawlers completely useless. Now, if you found the video helpful, be sure to leave it a like, and if you didn't, then leave a dislike. Thanks for watching the video, guys, and I will see y'all in the next one.